Hey everybody, it's Mr. Christian, and I'm here for another week of Biographical Storytime, where we learn about an interesting historical figure and the time period that they lived in. As usual, I am in the activity room alone, so I'm going to be taking my mask off. And I'm going to be introducing our title for this week, which is going to continue our Pride theme for the month of June. So last week we read about Harvey Milk and the development of the rainbow flag. We're actually going to read another book about the rainbow flag, but it's going to be about the person who made it, which is Gilbert Baker. So this book is called Sewing the Rainbow, the story of Gilbert Baker and the rainbow flag. So it's by Gail Pittman, illustrated by Holly Clifton Brown, and it is on why don't I see? Oh, Imagination Press. There we go. So let's learn about Gilbert Baker, who helped put together the flag for the first time. In a small town in Kansas, where everything was gray and dull and flat, there was a little boy who was full of color and sparkle and glitter. His name was Gilbert. There's a little Gilbert in this dull town. Gilbert loved visiting his grandmother's clothing store. He'd sit next to her while she sewed and draw beautiful gowns and costumes. Gilbert dreamed of someday bringing these drawings to life. There's little Gilbert with his grandmother, watching all these beautiful pieces of clothing get made, all the nice colors. But one day, his father took away his art supplies and tore up his drawings. Uh-oh. Surrounded by building blocks and erector sets, sports gear and slingshots, Gilbert's colorful, sparkly, glittery personality started to fade, and he, too, became gray and dull and flat, just like the Kansas landscape. When I grow up, he dreamed, I'll go somewhere that's filled with color. Maybe like a big city. But that didn't happen. Instead, when Gilbert turned 18, he received a letter that knocked every last bit of sparkle out of him. Uh-oh. Seems like he's very upset. So it looks like he's been drafted to the army. Gilbert hated his dull, flat uniform, and he refused to shoot the gun they gave him. I won't do it, he said. I'm not going to carry a gun. They made him do push-ups. They called him ugly names. But Gilbert wouldn't budge. The idea of shooting a gun made him feel sick. So they sent him to San Francisco, where he would never have to pick up a gun again. So here's San Francisco. The day Gilbert arrived in San Francisco, he saw magic. Instead of the gray, dull, flat landscape of Kansas, there were rolling green hills, the shimmering blue bay, and a cool white fog wafting over the Golden Gate Bridge. Gilbert was home. Finally, he could breathe. He could be his colorful, sparkly, glittery self. He thought about his grandmother's clothing store. He thought about the drawings his father tore up, and he realized he wanted all of that back. So Gilbert taught himself to sew, and he created fabulous costumes, just like the ones he drew when he was a boy. Word got around fast. He sewed regalia for Mama Jose in her imperial court. He sewed costumes for famous singers like Sylvester. He sewed banners for protests, marches, and rallies. Gilbert's creations were everywhere. He was making the city more and more colorful by the day. There was just one thing that continued to blemish their beautiful city. It was a symbol that, in Gilbert's community, was a constant reminder of evil. We need a new logo, his friend Harvey said to him one day. So that's Harvey Milk right there. And Gilbert got an idea. He put huge bolts of cotton fabric, buckets of dye, and a lot of thread. Then he gathered up all his friends and got to work. They cut the fabric into long strips, dyed them in big trash cans, then headed to the local laundromat to rinse and dry the strips. They ironed the creases so the fabric was nice and smooth. Then Gilbert began to sew. They worked until dawn. So lots of colors, lots of cloth, lots of sewing. By the time the sun rose, Gilbert and his friends had created 2 beautiful rainbow flags. But their work wasn't over. A flag belongs in the wind, Gilbert said. A big day arrived. A crowd gathered around City Hall. Gilbert held his breath. Would people understand his flags? Up they went. The flags unfurled, flooding the sky with a spectrum of colors. The city radiated with color and sparkle and glitter. And the crowd lit up like gold at the end of a rainbow. Today, the rainbow flag is everywhere, even in the small town in Kansas where Gilbert grew up. Wherever you see a rainbow flag, you'll know that it's okay to be yourself, to be colorful, sparkly, and glittery. So, Gilbert came from these very gray, dull settings in his childhood, and he didn't let it demolish his personality. He said, this is who I am. I want to work with colors. I want to work with clothes. I want to make beautiful things and make the world more colorful. And he went and did it himself when he got older. So a nice testament to staying true to you and staying true to your colors. So I hope you guys like learning about Gilbert Baker, a little bit about his childhood. I know we learned a little bit about him last week in the Harvey Milk book, but hopefully this gives you a little bit more background about Gilbert, who created this wonderful and important flag. In the meantime, guys, I'll be back next week with another Pride-themed biography. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you then.